Welcome, friends, to these few minutes that we can spend together, just drawing our focus inward and just finding a little presence before we go about the rest of our day or before we start our week. So I would invite you, wherever you are, in the spot that you have found your place to be, just settle in. It really is the first step to your meditation practice, to your yoga practice, to your practice of breath work. Settling in is the first step. Because once we're able just to settle, whether you're seated or lying down or kind of reclined where you are, this settling in is this signal to our physical self that it's time for a little stillness. It's time for intention. And it's time to let go of all of the focus on the outward world and bring our focus inward. And so as the body settles in and then we gently close our eyes, that's the symbol to our mind, our thinking mind, that it's okay to stop. It's okay not to pay attention to all the stimuli that are around us, but again, to bring the focus inward. And then we use the breath to begin to signal the emotions that it's okay to pause. It's okay to find some stillness, and again, to bring the focus inward. So as you settle in with your eyes gently closed or cast down, let's start to breathe together to bring it all into harmony. Just a slow, deep breath in, and a slow, deep breath out. And a slow, gentle breath in, and a slow, gentle breath out. Breathing in and breathing out. And then you just continue staying connected to the flow in and the flow out of that breath. And let it be your anchor for these few minutes. We breathe through all 24 hours of the day. But there's something about our meditation practice that brings us to this moment where we can refocus on the breath, realizing it doesn't just happen involuntarily, but we can use it as an anchor, as a tool, as a reset. And so the moments that we'll spend together for this little bit of time, part of it I'll guide you and part of it will be quiet, and all the way through it, you'll have your breath. Just a slow breath in and a slow breath out. And as we settle in, our focus for these few minutes is this idea of being just as we are. We don't show up to meditation to get good or to get better. We don't even really show up for improvement. Although the world may have us think that that's the intention. But rather, our meditation practice is about showing up to become as we are. In other words, the tools that we are seeking, sometimes so desperately, are the tools that are already within. But we show up and we find our way into this meditation practice to reconnect to those tools. For some of us, it's been a very, very long time. For some, maybe very recently. And for some, maybe you've never really found the connection. But we all show up together collectively with the same intention, to bring our focus inward and connect to who we are. And so we're going to spend these few minutes on this journey together today, doing just that. But the first thing that I'd like to ask of each of us, and I ask it of myself as well, is to take the judging or the criticizing part of our mind and just allow it to be set to the side. Because it's so easy as we get still and everything gets quiet to start to judge ourselves that we're not doing it right, that we're not good enough because we can't quiet the thoughts, or we can't keep ourselves still. There are no rules to this. So I would ask you, let the judgment and the criticism be set to the side. And if it begins to pop up, just set it to the side again. And don't judge yourself for judging, but come back to this breath. And there's a quote from Pema Chodron that I want to just share with you that I think will really set us on this course for these few minutes. And she said, "The wonderful irony about this journey is that we find out it only leads us to become as we are. This state of enlightenment that we're all seeking is really nothing more than fully knowing ourselves and our world just as we are." And so I want to tell each of us, we're already good enough. We already have the tools. We just need to reconnect to that idea and that belief. So I'm going to pose a couple questions for us, and then we're going to pause and just sit with ourselves. The same way that you would sit with a dear friend. You'd be comfortable. You wouldn't feel like you had to fill the space with words. You would just sit and be. So I'd ask us to be that friend to ourselves in these few minutes that we have. And so my first question for us says, can we sit with ourselves without judging whatever comes up in our minds? Can we sit with ourselves without judging whatever comes up in our minds? The next question asks, can we sit with ourselves without assigning labels to what we discover? That this is good or this is bad, or we like this or we don't like this, or this is a positive or this is a negative. Can we sit with ourselves without assigning labels to whatever we discover? And then finally, can we sit with ourselves and actually experience joy and contentment as we just sit with ourselves? So again, go back to that friend, the person that you can be with, you can sit with this comfortable being, where you feel contentment, where you feel joy. Let's be that person for ourselves in these few minutes that we have. So let's go back to the breath together collectively. We'll use it as our anchor. And then I in my space and you in yours will just sit with ourselves and notice and be aware. So in case you've lost the rhythm, just take a long, slow, deep breath in. And gently and with compassion, let it go. And a long, slow, deep breath in. And again, gently and with compassion, let it go. One more. And let it go. And let's just sit. and just to guide our last couple of moments that we have together. And perhaps once we leave this collective time, you could use this guide for yourself for the rest of today, going into tomorrow, whenever you need it most. So you just continue to breathe and let me give us the words to hold space and to keep our attention right here in this present moment. Breathing in, I find joy and contentment with myself. Breathing out, I find joy and contentment with myself. Breathing in, I find joy and contentment with myself. Breathing out, I find joy and contentment with myself. Breathing in, I find joy and contentment with myself. Breathing out, I find joy and contentment with myself. And as we prepare to close our time, I want to encourage you, because the reality is we have really busy brains that continue to pull us one direction and then another. And then all of a sudden we think that we failed at this ability to be present and still. All we're trying to do is cultivate awareness. And some days we show up and the awareness comes and the moments are sweet. And sometimes we show up, the awareness comes and then it feels like it goes away really quickly, and then it comes again and we just go back and forth. But still, the moments are sweet. The whole focus of your meditation practice is the showing up, opening yourself up to be vulnerable and to see what comes up while you sit with yourself. It really is a path of self-discovery. And I will assure you that the longer you stay on this path, the more steps that you take along it, the more you start to realize being with yourself really is a joyful, a wonderful, and contented way of being. If you can see a glimpse of that, I continue to encourage you here and now. And if you can't quite see that, I encourage you, let my words, my belief hold space until they can become your words and be your belief. One more time, breathing in, I find joy and contentment with myself. Breathing out, I find joy and contentment with myself. Namaste.